Hello guys, Skilled Legend here, and today I want to talk about something that I don't normally talk about. In 1998, and I've been a huge fan of everything Pokemon ever since I was little. I haven't really played any of the games or anything like that in a couple of years, seeing as I still have only a Game Boy Advance and not a DS. So basically I wanted to talk about the female companions of Ash. And the reason that I wanted to do this today is because a lot of people have a lot of opinions about who's the best and why they're the best, and a lot of people, since the 20th year anniversary is coming around, have been talking about whether or not Serena will stay with Ash and continue on to the next region in the next, reiteration of the game and the anime. Well, I wanted to do a little bit more than that and give my opinions about each of the companions and why they're important to me and the things that they strive when they are around Ash and how they interact with him and how everything kind of corresponds to one another. Basically, it's just a list of who's my favorite and who isn't. So, I'm going to start in order with the first and then the last in order that they show up in the anime. So first we're going to talk about Misty. And Misty has always been a really big fan favorite for a lot of people, and I can understand why. She was the very first to appear on the series, and she was the one that everyone was used to for years. But for me, even like I said, having seen the show for a very long time and growing up with Misty as the main person and basically, her being the only thing that I knew for the longest time, she's actually my second least favorite. Now, when I say the least favorite, I'm not talking about that I actually hate them or I dislike them or I wish they weren't even a part of the series in any way, shape, or form. It's just that they're not in the list, or it's hard to list these things because it's really hard to say it in a way that is meaningful, but at the same time shows why they're distasteful in my opinion. And the reasons that Misty is one of my least favorite is because a lot of people don't really seem to think about this, but she was a very negative influence on Ash. And the reason I say that is because she was very hot-headed and very, very rude for most of the episodes that she was in. She did have some great moments with Ash, and they're actually some of my favorite moments in the series. But at the same time, she just was very hot-tempered and very rude, and as someone who was supposed to co-mentor Ash as a new trainer, she didn't do a very good job of it. I mean, we had Brock, who was very professional and nice and kept his cool even when Ash was being a complete idiot, but he still managed to help Ash without starting a fight with him every single time. And the thing is a lot of people say that ill temperament wasn't really that big of a deal because they were friends and they both were that way. But it happened enough that a lot of people don't notice this, but Ash was very naive and stupid and very ill-tempered, and he was hot-headed and very overconfident at times as well. And I feel like a lot of this came from him being around Misty so much. And you could sit there and say, well, yeah, but most of the time he was that way when Gary was around. But Gary wasn't around enough for that to be a huge issue for him. The things that happened in the show with Misty and with Gary are two completely different things. Misty was in the show for the majority, while Gary was shown only a couple of times throughout the series. So for him to have that temperament, even when he's not around, just seems like people trying to dig for something deeper that's not there. And that's kind of why I rate her so lowly on the totem pole of the companions for females. So, with that covered, I'm going to talk about May next. May is actually the bottom of my list. And a lot of people are going to be really shocked because that is actually one of the better seasons of the show. And while I agree it was a great season of the show, the reason why I dislike May so much is because she was basically the female version of Ash in every single way. And it actually took away from the show in my opinion, because she took over most of his spotlight. The show, whether you believe it or not, has always been about Ash. And if someone else is like Ash and they have to compete for a spotlight in the show, then the show loses its meaning. They're supposed this is his companions. They're companions for a reason. And when she overshadows him so much that he's basically in the background, it makes it hard to like that character. At least for me. And it almost felt like May was kind of just there. She didn't really have any purpose other than, hey, let me travel with Ash. And it almost gave me the feeling of like, hey, can you just babysit my brother while I take over the series for you? And that was kind of how I felt about that. And it just wasn't really, there's not really much else to explain about that. I don't know how to get my feelings out and describe this more than I already did. It just feels like she was too much like Ash, that they clashed, and I know what they were trying to go for. They were trying to get people back into the series because Misty was gone and that was everything everyone knew, and they wanted to have a compelling character that, you know, double the Ash, double the fun, double the greatness of the show. But it just seemed that it didn't really work out that way. It seemed like she took over the spotlight. And to be honest, another reason that I really dislike May is because not only was she like Ash, but she brought the temperament that Ash had in the first season over to the second season. She was very hot-headed and ill-tempered and very overconfident for a new trainer, and it felt like I was just getting another Ash all over again from the beginning, except now Ash was more confident and more like Brock, while she was taking over the place of what Ash was, while also taking over the show. So, nextly, I'm going to talk about Dawn. And to be totally honest, until the most recent seasons, and a lot of people are going to give me crap about this, they might cringe, they might sarcastically say, shocker, but Dawn was my favorite character. And the reason why Dawn was my favorite character was because she had the personality of a great companion, and she never overtook Ash's spotlight. She actually made Ash look very, very good for the most part. She complimented him very, very well. But the only problem that I had with Dawn was that she had such slow character development. It took so long that by the time we really got to know Dawn and we really started to love Dawn, she was already getting kicked off the show. And another reason that I really, really, really disliked Dawn and that she's not the highest anymore is the reason that she got kicked off the show. Now, I'm not saying that it's her fault, but come on, writers. She leaves for her Pokemon to be a model. At least do something exciting like what May got, or like what Misty did. Have her have some ambition, not just because her Pokemon was a model. That doesn't seem like it's a very ambitious thing for Dawn to pursue, because it has nothing to do with her and all to do with her Pokemon. Whereas Misty went to become a better gym leader, and May went to go explore new regions just like Ash did. Now, the reason that not only is Iris not in this picture, but I haven't mentioned her, is because I actually know very, very little about her. This is the only seasons that I completely skipped when I used to watch the show. And honestly, from what I've heard, I'm probably pretty lucky that I didn't watch it. Because from what I've heard from fans and critics alike, is that it was very, very bad. In fact, it was probably the worst rated seasons among all of the Pokemon anime. Honestly, if there's one thing that I could say, is they had the right idea with going with something new and having her be a dragon trainer or wanting to become a dragon trainer, like a master of dragons. It's a really, really cool concept, but apparently the way that they dealt with her was just very, very, very terribly. And so I will not pretend like I know anything about this, so I will not mention anything about her. She's not even on my list. Now, there's been a lot of talk about Serena and why she's people's favorites. And I've seen a lot of videos about why she's everyone's favorite. And while it's a great, great thing that people like her, people are not very detailed in the reasons that they like her. In fact, most people just say that it's her backstory and the fact that she likes Ash in a way that people haven't really seen since Misty. And that's great. But for me, it's more meaningful. And I'm going to explain to you guys why. Firstly, I'm going to say the same things that people have said before. Serena has a great backstory with Ash. But there's more to it for me. Serena's backstory has a lot of meaning to me because it's more of a real life situation that people can understand. Serena and Ash's backstory, very, very realistic to the real world. So this person comes into her life after she's already been super, super miserable and doing something that she didn't want to do. And this person comes in and inspires her to do things and try out and go and explore the world and tell her to never give up. And for the first time, we get to see Ash as a kid before he becomes a trainer, and we get to see that loving, caring personality that he carried with him throughout most of the seasons. And we get to see that Ash hasn't changed very much. But we also see that Serena has held on to these words for a very, very long time. And that has a lot of impact on the positive influences that Ash has on his friends and the people around him. Because if you can say something that impactful that someone can hold on to it for that long and remember it, it makes you a better person. And the thing is it made Ash look like such a better and more positive and in a better light than most of the people in the show, not just his female companions. Because he's not even having any screen time much during this. It's mostly flashbacks and mostly what Serena's thinking. But it's perfect because he's getting these positive influences off on us and the viewers, and he's not even on the show because it's Serena's thoughts and flashbacks that we're seeing. Another reason that I really like Serena is she has a very, very, very realistic back storyline. When we first see her, she's laying in bed, and it's probably way past, a decent time to get up, and her mom has to go wake her up. And the thing is this is something that we see all the time. whether it be with our family, our friends, or just in shows, because it's actually a pretty cliche thing, but it's very realistic and it's very, very touching to me because I've seen this a lot in my life, and I'm sure that some of you have too. We see the overbearing mother who cares a lot about her daughter, but also is very passive aggressive in the way that they want things done and the things that they want their children to achieve, to basically follow in the footsteps of their lives and to tell them what they should do with their lives. And that is something that really got me really into Serena in the first place. Because if you think about it, like I said, this happens a lot in real life. We have dreams of our own, who our parents or other friends or family want us to follow theirs. And they try to push us in the directions that they want us to go. But in Serena's case, she ended up basically running away from her own mother with a childhood friend that she hasn't seen forever, just so that she doesn't have to do this. And another thing that I really liked about her is she's one of the very first characters who doesn't have anything going for her right away. She doesn't know what she wants to do. In fact, she says that she literally ran away just so she didn't have to do what her mother told her that she wanted to do with her life. And that's really meaningful to me because it's another really real thing that we see all the time. Do things in life, but we don't know what we want to do with them. Sometimes we go to college or go to school or do things, but we don't actually know if that's what we want to do with our life. We don't really know what we want, and sometimes we don't have dreams, or we don't know what our dreams are yet, just like Serena didn't until later on in the season. And that's why she's one of my favorite characters, because she has very good and in-depth character development. She struggled a lot like Ash did in his first couple of seasons. Yes, she started to succeed more and more as the the series continued and further on, but it wasn't always just easy. And the moments that you feel around with Serena are more impactful than I've seen in a long time on the show. In fact, I don't think I've had any impactful moments where I have almost been in tears until this season since the beginning of May's adventure and the ending of Misty's. And so this has just really been an impactful season for me. Now, another thing that people have been talking about is the hidden relationship that Ash is completely oblivious to. And while it's really cute, it's also kind of one of the things that I dislike about Serena. Don't get me wrong, I think it's an amazing thing that they added a character that likes Ash, and in fact it looks like she likes her back too. But the thing that annoys me about it is that she worries about Ash way too much. And I'm not talking about the stupid things that Ash does because he's Ash. Yes, that's understandable. Ash jumps off of a building. Ash jumps off of a cliff. Ash does this. Ash does that. And it's really some stupid things. And she has the right to be worried. But there's some moments where she worries about him where it's just like, you know, he's having a Pokemon battle for a gym. Yes, it shows that you care and that you actually are concerned about his life moments and the things that he wants to achieve. But you don't have to be like a worry wart. You don't have to be so nervous all the time. And that's the one few things that I don't like about Serena. But for the most part, I really actually enjoy her character. And she's had the most character development out of any character in the series that's a female so far. And to be totally honest, I actually agree with most people. I think that she should continue to the new region with Ash. if Ash is the main character. And the main reason that I say that is not because I completely support their relationship. Yes, it would be cute if they continued their relationship and grew. Yes, I think it would be awesome if Ash had a girlfriend. But the reason that I think that they should continue with her is because she has that character development. It seems almost a waste to have this character be so developed so early on in the show and continue it throughout the whole show and then just let it go. There's just really no logical reason for that. It's like you build something up only to tear yourself back down. And that's how I think that a lot of people feel about this. If she doesn't end up going on to the next region, let's at least give her some good way to end the series with. At least have one moment where we actually have some feeling with Ash's disappointment of her leaving or her being left behind. Because otherwise, this whole character development is pretty much meaningless. And honestly, they're probably going to kill their own show just based off of that. And we might have another terrible, terrible season ahead of us. Anyways, let me know what you guys think, and comment, and let me know if you like this or if you dislike this. Thanks. Have a good day. Bye.